Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It is a tremendous honor to be among so many friends. Friends, my grandfather left Canada in 1943 and headed to Europe. He served in the Canadian Armed Forces for 25 years after the war. And the great threat to his generation was first fascism and then communism. Well, the great struggle of our generation is the struggle against terrorism. And the regime in Tehran is by far the biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. Over the years, billions of dollars have left Tehran to sow fear, violence, death, and destruction. From Assad's war against his own people to a Jewish community center in Buenos Aires, from a plot to assassinate the Saudi ambassador in Washington to arming Hezbollah missiles targeting civilians in Israel. We must call the mullahs out on it. In Canada, we have a civilian nuclear program for peaceful purposes. And let me tell you three things about it. One, we fully comply with the International Atomic Energy Agency. And friends, in Canada, we tend to build nuclear plants near the electricity grid. And friends, we do not build a facility to manufacture medical isotopes under 300 feet of rock. For 10 years, the world sanctioned this regime, finally with brutal effectiveness, to urge them, to pressure them to take a different course. And those sanctions were working. The sanctions were beginning to bite. Then, friends, we took our heel off the throat of this regime and as they were gasping for air and gave them an oxygen mask. Rouhani and his clerical regime don't want to abandon their nuclear program. They want to rid themselves of the economic sanctions. They want more money for Hezbollah, more money for Assad to wage war against his own people, and more money to attack and undermine all of its neighbors in the region. Friends, the people of Iran suffer each and every day under this regime. Death sentences in Iran are particularly disturbing because they are invariably imposed expeditiously by courts that completely lack independence and impartiality. And despite the election of Rouhani, there has actually been a dramatic increase in this activity. The death penalty is routinely used against human rights activists and against dissidents, sometimes administered in public by mass hangings on cranes, taking up to 20 minutes to die slowly and painfully. This is a brutal way of intimidating the public into silence. The regime targets a long list of people, dissidents and activists, poets and filmmakers, Arabs and Baha'is, Christians, students, and other religious minorities. And the regime targets journalists so that the real story won't be told to the Iranian people and won't get out of its borders. Friends, all the talk of a nuclear deal and of Iran's state-sponsored support for terrorism will not stop us from speaking out against this regime's deplorable and deteriorating human rights record. You know, the world should look at Canada's example over the past 10 years. We closed our embassy in Tehran. we declared all Iranian representatives in Canada to be persona non grata. We listed, for the first time in Canadian history, we listed a country. We listed the Iranian regime as a state sponsor of terror. We spent millions of dollars on efforts to create a space online and in social media so that activists could bypass attempts to keep them silent on the internet. And we also, each and every year, for many, many years, have led efforts at the United Nations to condemn this regime's horrific human rights record each and every year. But most importantly, we have refused to go along with the obscene notion that Rouhani is any sort of moderate nor reformer. Friends, we must call out this slick public relations campaign for what it is, a lie. We have so many allies in the fight against this brutal regime. But do you know who our biggest ally in this struggle is? Friends, it is the people of Iran. Make no mistake whatsoever that the people of Iran do not support this regime and they want to see it overthrown.